to another episode of Community TV with Adaire on My Time TV. This is where we have TV for you by TV from me. And this is also where I talk to people in our community, whether it's a local community or a global community, who are doing amazing things to add value to the lives of people around them. It could be anything from meditation, a yoga class, learning to cook, reading tarot cards, healing, physical fitness, or even gardening. Whatever you're interested in, I'm aiming to cover it here. So you can let me know if there's a topic that you'd like to hear more about, and I'll source someone very interesting, exciting, and engaging for you to speak to or to speak with you about that. Now, today we are speaking with the amazing Vasso Fessas, and I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. She believes in making every moment count, and she is living an authentic life and being the author of her own life and her own story. She values authenticity, calling a spade, and she also values uniqueness. She wants people to be themselves and be the inspiration and the growth. Vasso is an internationally recognized trainer, coach, and facilitator, has had a successful background in executive human resource management. She can help you discover what's holding you back from doing what you want to do, or discover what it is if you don't know what that is, what you really want to do, and also to help you to take control or take back control of your life. Hi, Vasso. How are you doing?
Hi, Adaire. Wow.
Lovely to see you here. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
I've got this frame on. It's a little love heart. It's actually a big love heart, and it goes right around the screen, and it's got your face in half the frame, and it's sort of cut there. If I go like that, if I go like that, we're sort of, our faces are in the hearts, and that's like really cute. But I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to actually put on, this is like a little bit of an aside, but I use a program called Be Live TV. And they, which means that I can bring you on the screen and I can have a chat with you. I can put your name up here so you can see who's speaking. And I can also put up things like amazing Easter frames. You can't see this from where you're sitting. You'll see it in the replay. So welcome to everybody who is in the audience, and also people who are watching the replay. We've got some Easter eggs for you. These are the non-fattening kind. They're the ones that just make the screen look pretty. I'd just like to welcome Mary. Hey, Mary. She's going, is this the one on Lake Mentality? We've got so much happening on My Time TV. That was Linda. She was on half an hour ago, Mary, but you're welcome to join myself and Vasso for talking about taking back control of your life. Joanne's here as well. Hello, Joanne. Thank you so much for joining us. Do appreciate you. Ask any questions you have, and I'm going to start with asking Vasso. Firstly, how are you?
I'm great, but I'm trying to work out whether I'm going to watch with my glasses or not, because I need new ones and I can't see with those. So I'm going to take them off. I'm fantastic. Right. It's really lovely to be here.
Just keep smiling and talking and we'll be fine. No one will get hurt. So Vasso, as I saw in your little bio that you sent through, you had a career in executive human resource management.
Mm.
That's a bit of a leap from that, because I've been in human resources myself, and it's almost as dry as work health safety. So from there to something like NLP, where you're practicing timeline transformation therapy, what happened that led you down that path? Or
it's a great question, and actually it might seem it's just so wide apart, but for me it's quite strongly linked. I think the second job for me when I left school, my second job was working, back then it was called personnel, so what we know now as HR or people and culture, and I absolutely loved it. And so I spent, I think, 5 years in that job in HR, And then through my love of footy, because I would go and watch SANFL footy, I grew up in Port Macdonald down the southeast, and I would go and watch Brendan Howard, who played for Sturt. So through my love of footy, I got a job working in sport at the SANFL. And I moved out of my HR role, went into sport and started doing a number of roles there, PA to the CEO and the chairman. Eventually, when I came back from having children, I set up their WHS system. And it got to the point where I wanted to move back into HR, and that's around the time where the SANFL recognised they needed a full-time HR person in their business because it was growing. It doesn't seem like sport is a big business, SANFL, but it is. So long story short, I started up their first full-time HR function, and it just grew from there. And then eventually I was managing safety for such a large organisation. So I absolutely, I've always said I don't want to go down the safety path, but every time I work in WHS, I absolutely love it. It's a thrill for me. So,
wow.
I do.
I didn't mean to say that about work safety.
It's okay. It can be like that. And, people avoid it. But I got to the point where I realised that I needed exactly what I do now. It's about showing the people, like the department managers who are saying, go away. We don't want to know about HR policy. We don't want to know about WHS policy. We want to do our jobs. It's about what we do now in business, showing them the value of what you have to offer and how really they need to be able to take it on board. So that's where I think I started learning all about that. And so instead of saying, well, you've got to do this because it's legislation, it's like, okay, how do I work with them? How can I show them that we need to implement this and let's get it right? What's going to work for you? So that's what I did. And about 3 years ago, when the SANFL moved from Amy Stadium to Adelaide Oval, I was a significant part of that in helping the staff transition. A lot of them couldn't stay with the SANFL, had to find employment with Adelaide Oval elsewhere. So it was a huge shift for the staff. It was a huge shift for the SANFL admin for them moving. So after about a year and a half of us having moved to Adelaide Oval, I knew my time was up. I'd been there for 30 years.
Wow.
So I decided to take a break, a really long break, 3 to 6 months, and then move on. And while I was doing that, I went and studied because I wanted to improve my coaching skills. And I found this thing called NLP.
Did you know what it stood for when you first found it? Because I sure as hell didn't.
No, and if you talk to Sherry Farrow, who trained me.
Oh, I know her. Yes, she's on the York Peninsula. York Peninsula, yes.
Yeah. So if you talk to Sherry, I made a number of phone calls to her. I needed to know, what's all this stuff? I just want to improve my coaching skills. I just want to know what to say when I've got someone in front of me who's really stuck in their story and is blaming and is the victim. Because I would have staff who were in their story who were seeing the difficulties they were having but couldn't get out of that to help themselves. And I wanted to know what to say because, I couldn't take them by the shoulder and shake them and say, wake up to yourself. What can I say?
Sometimes it has crossed my mind actually, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
There's only so far you can take people by talking to them. They have to have that aha moment. So I thought I need to go and find what it is that I need to say. What are the questions I need to ask to get that person from where they're stuck to actually having that aha moment and looking and seeing things differently. So Sherry told me NLP would do that for me, and it did, but it did so much more. And back then, it was, I think, 2 years ago, my aim was to go back and do HR consulting, having improved my coaching skills. Okay. But after finding Sherry and NLP and going back and studying it with her again, because we can go back and study it again, and then doing my master level, I just fell into it where I really wanted to help people with these techniques. And so I started consulting and seeing private clients, and now I'm at the point where I'm taking it back into the corporate world, because even though it might seem like it's not something that can be taken into the corporate world, NLP is so many things. And you take it to the corporate world, into the business world, and I'm training organisations and their leaders and taking this in there because it's just so valuable. So that's how you tie in HR and working with people and coaching, because timeline therapy is part of that coaching. Yeah.
That is amazing. And I think being in such I came from emergency services and worked in emergency management, and being in such a testosterone-filled industry, as you would have felt.
Yes.
It was, I actually think that was the attraction for me to, and I didn't even know what hypnotherapy was when I first stumbled across it. Or NLP. I didn't know what it stood for, but I just knew that it was going to be something that would help me personally, and then started practicing it as well, because then I knew it would help other people. So I can see, I think your journey is amazing, because what you can take back into the corporate world is that knowledge of how it operates, but also with the softer skills of being able to do that, the human side of it. Because I mean, in emergency services, we go, the soft skills are the back end of the horse type thing, you know. It was,
well, if you reframe it for them, it is, because when you've got the technical skills and you're working with a team of people who they all know, they've all been, doing the same job for 10 or 15 years. They've got the company knowledge, the technical skills. What sets people apart then for them to be able to move up to the next level is these soft skills that we can improve to help them in being so much more successful in that, because it isn't the technical skills that help you at the next level.
No.
So,
you can learn the technical skills, and I mean, you have to learn the soft skills too. But I actually remember when I was implementing the Working in Harmony program for emergency services, and I was working with a girl who worked with Adelaide Uni, and they had terrible problems with bullying and harassment back then. Don't know what it's like now, but her job was pretty much, pretty full cut out for her, but she was also working with emergency services, and I was helping her, she was helping me as a consultant with the expertise in the bullying harassment policy to implement this program that I developed. And she was saying about the Vice Chancellor of Adelaide Uni, and he's going, shaking his head going, oh my God, what would I know about this people stuff? I'm a soil scientist. And it was like, that stuck with me, because it was like, if people don't have the people skills, because he was a very good soil scientist. That's how come he got to Vice Chancellor, but the whole people skill thing, it was the people thing was. So what you bring to the table, I think is really valuable, because you've got that balance. You can say, hey, you might be a soil scientist or whatever it is, but you can learn, and your team can learn as well.
Definitely.
So what's your? Oh, go on.
I was going to say, to give you an idea of the use of NLP, some of the people that I've studied with are doing things like Deborah, who's in Florida. She's been asked to train sales staff in the largest real estate agency in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. NLP, rapport, sensory acuity, the sales process. So she's just like me. She's a master trainer of NLP, and now she is training the top real estate agency with these skills. There are people who are taking it into education, teaching teachers how to teach children, because we all have a learning strategy. And if your child isn't learning, they're not using the right strategy. If your child can't spell, they're not using the right strategy. So if we can teach teachers around this, then they will be able to get the best out of children. So that's just a number of areas where you can tackle it, as well as working with one-on-one with people, whether it's your private clients who are struggling with life, and that was me. My story was, my husband and I had worked hard and we had everything we ever wanted. The 3 children, the career, the house, the investments, and yet life was so, I want to say the B word, bloody hard.
You can say the B word.
Yeah, life was so hard, and I realised we weren't happy.
Yeah.
So why is it that life is so hard? And for me, I realised we fell into a hole. And while I was studying this NLP, one thing she said to me is, you don't look at a person's behaviour. It's not what they're doing. You look at their intent behind it. And I thought, well, if I look at the intent, because my husband and I don't like to talk and share this because he's a private person, but after I left the SNFL, or before I left there, we'd separated. So within a month, I'd left my career and my marriage.
Wow.
But, 6 months later, when I was studying NLP and I hear, don't look at a person's behaviour, we look at their intention. What's their intention? Yet we tend to judge people on what they're doing instead of finding out what their intention is. I thought, well, if my intention was to save my marriage and his intention was to save our marriage, but we didn't have the skills, maybe we still have a chance. We didn't have the skills. I know now through NLP, I now know what to do and how to save it. It was like the two of us were trying to dig ourselves out of a hole, and without NLP, we're just digging a bigger hole. So, so that's what NLP did for me. We're back together.
You reconciled. Well, that is amazing, because I have a very similar story, and it's like, I feel like I'm always saying me too, me too. But my husband and I separated for 3 years, and
it's funny because one of my best friends said to me, do you know, I know someone who separated from their husband for a year and they got back together and they're so happy. And I said, no, it won't be us, because it got we're trying so hard, but it became, I don't know, toxic, you could say. And I said to her, no, not us. There's no way we're going to get back together. But the fact that I went along and did NLP and took it on board, I didn't want to go back to her and say, you're right. But had it not been for what I went through, because when you do the practitioner course, it's experiential. So we do the work on each other. So the fact I had the timeline therapy and the processes and all that baggage shifting off, and taking those NLP skills, we started a whole new relationship, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah, that is amazing, because we've gone on a similar path, and he's come along. Not just my husband. We did the training, and then we did the master practice. Our son was 14, now 16, so he was 14 when we did it. So he came, we went away, and how you hole up and you go away and you just immerse yourself in it, and you do the practical stuff. And he was leading groups of people, our son, when he was 14, like he was an adult learning environment, and it was an amazing thing. And they've both since gone on to do life coaching as well. So it's been quite a phenomenal impact on our family doing this. And I would say, even if we didn't go to that extent, just to have someone, like even if I'd just known about the opportunity to do something like timeline transformation. So I guess that's sort of a nice little segue into sharing a little bit from an individual level. You're saying that it's helped you when you're doing that practitioner. You don't train on each other. You do. There's no practice. There's no practice. You do, and you have immediate and dramatic results, and the impact's amazing. Before, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask. So you say that you work with corporates, but also with individuals. So if you could sort of describe where you would be able to help most in terms of, if I was maybe a small to medium business with a team of rat bags that I wanted to sort out, or if I was just an individual wanting to regain control over my life, how would you approach those differently? Or are they two sets of people, two sets of audiences that you would have? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So with you, we definitely work with you around your, what was the word you used? Around your personal stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
But also going into businesses, if there are teams that are not engaged, not very productive, etc. You can, there are lots of leadership programs out there which teach you techniques to use. With NLP, we really start with helping people see how each person operates, bringing awareness, our own software, our programs, how we run, those deep unconscious filters and those deep values that were formed way back when we were growing up, before the age of 7.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. So how do you take that into the corporate business world? It's really quite easy, because we're really showing them how we can get the best out of who we are. And I've just put forward a proposal now for a South Australian organisation who wants an NLP taken back into their workforce. Now, these are very busy people, and it's busy people who need to do NLP. In 2 hours, I really have to give them, obviously it's intensive, but they're high-level management, so they should be smart enough to be able to pick it up and take it away and practice it. So we're really looking at...
We hope. I've actually, in my experience, I found some of the managers actually probably need a bit more. But anyway, that's probably another conversation for another time. So,
well, I'm hoping to wow them so they realise that there's so much there for them. Because really, the thing is for them, it's how can we get more out of our staff? How can we lead our staff? And it's about helping them realise that really they need to look in the mirror, and it starts with them. So we're looking at, communication. What are the issues around communication? We both speak English, and yet we're not understanding each other. How do people operate? What are your systems? And when you understand yours, then you can better lead people. And it's not about how do you motivate your team? Well, you don't motivate it the way you're motivated. You have to understand how each person is motivated. And when you understand that, then you motivate them. And it's the carrot or the stick. So so some of these techniques come from a master level practitioner, and they're easily transferable into the business world, definitely. Even helping people recruit people. There's something called the complex meta programs. It's a range of questions. It's a little bit like the Myers-Briggs. But these I was
going to actually ask whether the meta programs were like the Myers-Briggs, because they're very popular in the corporate world and especially where I come from in government. DISC is another one that's very popular as well. So,
so Myers-Briggs is, I don't know, a lot of questions and takes you a while. But with these 17 questions, which you can use either with your current staff or when you're recruiting, you can find out a lot about people and make a decision as to whether they are the right fit for the job over a number of I guess areas. Are they the right fit for the job? And I had a client last year who was quite deflated. She wasn't enjoying her job, even though she loved the organisation, she loved the people, and it started affecting her, thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not motivated? And we did these complex meta programs. I've got to find a better word for it, because CMTs, whatever. She goes, what are they? I said, complex meta programs. When we did that, she realised why. She was doing a job that she really wasn't suited to. It wasn't what she normally goes to. So it's like you're rubbing against sandpaper.
Yes,
the cricketers know about that. So it's like you're rubbing against sandpaper, and yet you're supposed to like it. And so now she understood what her complex meta programs were about, and realised it wasn't her, it was just a poor job fit.
Yes.
So that then set her on to, I either find a job that fits this in the organisation, or when I'm looking for a job, I make sure that it fits these criteria. Yeah. So then we have one very unhappy person, and she would be taking that unhappiness back into her home with her children. She now sees it totally differently, and it's shifted her, and she's now moving forward and deciding on what to do rather than worrying what's wrong with her and why can't she enjoy work.
Well, I think that's so it's so liberating, and as you said, it's giving her back control to make choices based on what she understands to be, her true self. And Joanne is saying, "Oh, it so gets to us." Now, I'm hoping that's because before she just had a cyber gods were winning. I'm not sure. Oh my God, my luck with the cyber gods winning. Gone to mobile, all dude, all. Poor Joanne. I'm going to be speaking with Joanne a bit later, but
okay.
She's saying, "Oh, it so gets to us," and I think that is when they at that. What I think you were talking about is that square peg in a round hole type thing. And, my last years in government, I was trying to jam myself into, really by hammering on my head, trying to be the square peg that was jamming myself into a round hole, and everyone else was as well. And it really was, that was soul destroying. So if I'd known that, sort of earlier in the piece, but it probably would have saved a whole lot of heartache. So
yeah, and talking about Myers-Briggs, if you do Myers-Briggs before you do some NLP, and it's called timeline therapy techniques. So NLP was discovered back in the 1970s by Bandler and Grinder, but then along came Dr. Tad James, and he created timeline therapy techniques, which are wonderful techniques. And really what they do, if you go onto my Facebook, Sweet and Sour Life Coaching,
link is above here.
I posted a video of Dr. Adriana James, I think it was last week, and it was quite a good video, because when people say, what is NLP, a lot of us find it difficult to answer because there's so much. But I'll read you the words that Dr. Adriana James said last week, and she said, we show people, this is in the training, we show people how they block themselves. What's inside their own thinking that creates barriers. Barriers to doing life easily, to success, to whatever creates difficulties in your job. And instead of thinking it's me, what the F is wrong with me, it's really about those blocks and those barriers. And most of them have been formed before we're even conscious of it, before the age of 7, by taking in whatever's happening in our world. And that's not to blame our parents, because some of us will just learn, our parents learn from others, some of us will take on board what we see and will match it. Otherwise, we'll say, no, I'm not going to do that, and there'll be a mismatch. So now we don't know. Our personality, talking about Myers-Briggs, was formed back then.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, if you take the Myers-Briggs before and after the practitioner training,
so we've got someone commenting as My Time TV. We have a few people on My Time TV who have their own shows, and if you're on mobile, you can't actually change to be yourself. So give us a shout out. Could be Paula, it could be Linda, it could be Sabitra, it could be anybody. But let us know who you are behind the My Time TV. They're most of them are code breakers, but Facebook. Linda, there we go. It's Linda. Linda's just had her show as well. So sorry. You were saying, Vasso.
So if you do the Myers-Briggs personality profile and work out whether you're the internal or external, the intuitive, the feeler, the thinker, the judger, and you do it at the end of the practitioner or after a breakthrough session, you'll find there's been some change, because people will say, well, your Myers-Briggs doesn't change. Well, it does, because our personality was formed way back before the age of 7. And a lot of what we believe now, our values, which are really quite deep, and the way we think we should lead life, we should, we shouldn't, etc. We should, we can't. The decision, the person who thinks they're the external person, or the internal person, the people who are that they were really all decisions that they made when they were younger. So you can change it. You can actually change that person. So your personality will change once you've done this work, because a lot of the stuff that you took on back then no longer applies. And what I found for me when I did the practitioner course with Sherry, thinking I was just going to go and learn about coaching, and there was so much more, what I found is after I finished that course and went through timeline therapy with the other practitioners and let go of a lot of the baggage and the blocks that I had, I changed quite significantly, and I thought I was a new person, but it wasn't. I was told by someone that I love, she said to me, Julia Way, she said, Vasso, you're not a new person. You've gone back to the person you were when you were originally born. And I became a person who was freer and loved life and wanted to have fun. And that was always in me, but something stopped me. So we go back to that original person with no baggage, with none of those onion layers changing us. So that's how it can change a personality. And create that empowerment, and that's why we say take back control, not in a negative way but in a positive way.
It actually gives you a whole heap of freedom that you would never think possible. And I just look at what this type of thing here is. If I would have thought that I would be able to have a show where I would interview people and bring value to other people, would have just, like, 2 years ago, like, it would have scared the bejesus out of me. But going through, possibly 3 years ago, I think now, but the biggest thing was worrying about what other people thought. But because, going through that growth and going through that learning about, being your true, authentic self, and what were the words you used? Taking it back to who you are originally.
That's right. Instead who you were when you're born. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is the closer we get to that, the more freedom we get to be able to be authentic and be acting like and do what we want to do what makes our heart sing. Yeah. Instead of what everyone else expected. I think it's amazing. Look, I could talk to you for hours about this because there is so much value. We actually are out of time. In fact, we are over time. So I just, it goes so fast. I just want to let people know that they can contact you on your page, Sweet and Sour Life Coaching. I've put a link, and Joanne's saying, yes, me too. So, Joanne, if you do make it down tomorrow, I don't know if you're coming to the Women in Business Adelaide networking tomorrow, Vasso, but
I have to miss that one.
Oh, so I think you said something, but that's all right. We'll be having more. So, and I'm not sure if Joanne's coming down, but eventually you guys will meet. You've been connected on Facebook and in the group, and it's just been awesome. So, thank you so much for. I did want to ask, did you have anything that you wanted to offer people as who are here and who catch the replay? That they might be able to reach out and connect with you. So
definitely. I'm happy to take discovery calls. I've got my practitioner, if you're interested in doing NLP, doing what I did with Sherry Farrow 2 years ago. I'm running one Monday week, the 16th of April here in Adelaide. What? And the very super special early bird offer, I'm still offering that because I really want to fill the last seats. And if someone's looking at doing a personal coaching breakthrough session, I'm also happy to offer 50% off for your viewers. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. So if you're catching the replay or if you're here now and you would like some to tap into the Master Prac training, look, I would have to say it would have to be singularly, if I can say that properly, the one biggest thing that has helped me and my family move forward in life. There were a number of other things and quite significant things as well, but the NLP Master Practitioner training or the practitioner training would have to be one of the biggest, most impactful things. The NLP, the timeline transformation therapy, very, very impactful, and it does help us move forward in a way that is so incredibly fast if we work with it and we let it work for us. So
definitely.
Vasso, thank you so much for your time. Anyone wants to contact Vasso, there's a link above this broadcast. You can click on Sweet and Sour Life Coaching and send Vasso a message. And don't go anywhere. I'm just going to drop you out of the show. And
thanks, Adaire. Very generous. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. So have I. Thank you so much. So that was Vasso Fessas from Sweet and Sour Life Coaching, sharing with us about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and timeline transformation therapy, how it can help you in your life. Remember, you can contact Vasso using the link above her Facebook page. Send her a message, get in touch with her. Even if you're not ready now, just make contact. Go have a look at the video that she suggested that we have a look at. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but it will tell you more about timeline transformation therapy. I am an absolute advocate and passionate about using it as a transformation tool. It's fun to do as well, and relatively painless most times. I can see her laughing. We're over time now. It is I'll come back next week at 2 p.m. Wednesday, 2 o'clock for my community TV with Adaire, where it is TV for you by TV from me. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.